We are here. We're going to have this debate, and Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton. Donald now has yet another Bill Clinton person that claims to have been sexually assaulted or something by Bill Clinton back in the 80s while being a reporter in Arkansas. Not a single news organization has been able to confirm who this person is, but the Donald Trump people, although at the same time, even Roger Ailes is now saying basically fuck you to Donald Trump, which I think is hilarious. Roger Ailes was trying to talk policy and trying to get him to act like, like a president. And, Roger Ailes is the Mac Daddy genius of scary right-wing politics when it comes to preparing people. Excuse me.
Wow.
That was rough. Oh. Sorry, I want to spare you that. I don't want to, into the camera might be like 3D. But Roger Ailes is now done with Donald Trump, and they're war words back there. Thank you very much. I'm not sure what I was trying to do there. Thank you very much. Hey, yeah. So, Marco Rubio is trying to set himself up, I think, for 2020. Marco Rubio coming out pretty much against Donald Trump. Not saying I'm against Donald Trump. He's just against everything Donald Trump is saying. But I think Marco Rubio has, better than any other Republican Senate or congressperson, trying to fight for their seat, I think he's put it into words better than anybody else out there. Yeah, Polo. And I hope, I'm not a huge fan of his politically, but he went through, hubby says you should be wearing a hat that says fuck Trump. And yeah, but you know what? Somebody from the alt-right's going to watch this and think they're I want to fuck him. Because they don't understand satire. That whole video I did yesterday in that crazy character on Facebook, I don't know if you've seen that heaping pile of crap. I had somebody, actually not even an alt-right person, actually an actor who's played Tevye 3,000 times, almost 4,000 times, and questioning my sanity, I think, or, are you really, and I said it was satire. And then I said something quoting Fiddler on the Roof, because I saw on his profile that he's done Tevye 3,000 sometimes. And remember Perchik? He started all that trouble. And it's phew! So there's just a lot of ignorant people out there. They're not dumb. They just don't listen. So they don't get shit in context. Or they constantly listen to shit out of context and make their own assumptions about things. Or more often than not, they're regurgitating, like I always say, regurgitating fourth or fifth level. Mother told her brother, told her son, told her sisters-in-law, told people at work, told you. I heard Trump said this. I heard Hillary did this. I heard Hillary, blah, 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 yeah. If I were a rich man. So, so we're going to have this thing here. Mark Cuban's on TV right now. I actually like Shark Tank. I don't get why we're even talking to Mark Cuban about this. Maybe Mark Cuban saying, hey, billionaire Trump actually ran for president. Maybe I got a shot. Because I'm halfway sane, even though I'm not going to go there. I actually like Shark Tank. Maybe Mark Cuban will invest in my company someday and save me and figure out how to do If I Were a Wealthy Man. Yeah, but Mark Cuban, I don't know. Mark Cuban's a great investor. He saves a lot of companies, right? Not all the time, but he comes in when the deal's right. He seems to be one of the pickier sharks about who and where he puts his money into. Unlike Trump, who will put his you-know-what into anything. Nothing wrong with that, but he did, without asking is the point. Bill Clinton possibly too. I don't know. I don't think either one of them are great. I don't think Hillary's great. I want to thank the American people for leaving me with the four choices that we have. Jill Stein, Gary Johnson, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. The one guy that I like in this whole mess is actually, what's his name? Governor Ward, who is Gary Johnson's number two. The guy that he acts like the ventriloquist who's sitting next to Gary Johnson, and every time Gary Johnson, I don't know what a Aleppo is. I don't know. I think I'm going back to that character. That's not who Gary Johnson is. Yeah. And then Ward just like sticks his hand in and says, the guy from Mexico and blah 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 blah. Yeah, Syria, and like he does all the smart talking for that ticket. Ward is actually a very smart guy, and he married Cleaver. I know June. So Aleppo. Yeah. What is Aleppo? What is Aleppo? What? I know I have people I respect, but I can't remember their name. Now, I respect Gary Johnson for that because I am the biggest brain farter of all time. I just don't think I would say I had a brain fart on a presidential panel. I don't think I would use those terms. But I have brain farts all the time. I'm more of a conceptual guy. I don't always remember trivia and actual dates and names and like to wear pants. I forget a lot of things. But I try to remember like the how and the why behind things. Not about wearing pants, but everything else. I try to remember, the concept so that I can learn from the concept. And memorizing dates and names doesn't teach you anything about what will make a better world. Dates and names are just like, this happened here, this happened here, this happened here. But you really want to learn why they happened, how they happened. I really want to get to the bottom, something I want to talk about. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I put a lot of thought into it before coming today, and hopefully I don't botch this too much, because I actually put some thought into this more than normal. This whole idea of populism, nationalism. I remember back in the day as a student thinking this nationalism thing on paper seems like a great idea, like Americanism, like we're all America first, make America great again. Like these all sound like great things. America, America, right? America first. Made in America. Check your underwear. Make sure it wasn't made in China. Whatever, right? Made in America, I think it's a great idea. Supporting American workers, supporting American labor, supporting Americans that get their hands dirty and work very hard to put food on their tables for their kids and everything else, and yada yada yada, taking care of their elderly once they get to a certain place. Wonderful. I always love this idea of nationalism, Americanism. I'm skipping ahead of my head. And then I remember like the people in the past that have called upon nationalism, populism. People like the Nazis, right? People like the fascists, Mussolini and Hitler, right? The French Revolution, Robespierre, who after they took power, and then Castro, right? The famous people in the past that were all about populism. And in every single case, they destroyed democracy. In every single case, they were all about, it's about the people until they got power. And then it was all about, if you disagree with us, you're dead. We can't have free press because we know how to fix our country, and anybody who says otherwise needs to go. Like, really, needs to go. Now, I don't know if we've had such a populist, fascist, nationalist leader ever voted into power. Usually it's through revolution. But that's kind of what these people are talking about. They're talking about revolution. They're talking about, like, if Hillary Clinton wins, the Second Amendment types, right? Oh, we got to go get her before she takes our guns, I guess. We got to go get those black people and Mexicans and Muslims and gays and women. The women that think they are smarter than us white men. Yeah, Karl Marx. And you know what? Karl Marx. I always wonder about Karl Marx. I know about Karl Marx, but Russia never really did communism, right? They said they did communism, but they really didn't. It was more of an oligarchy. It was more fascism than communism. On paper, I still, the idea of communism is like the idea of Unitarian. Maybe Unitarian is the wrong word. What's the word I'm thinking of? Everyone's equal. It's a beautiful concept. The problem is somebody out there is going to take advantage of naivete and become fascist, right? Or the idea that in communism, basically in Russia, was a way to control the people. And in many ways, I still say democracy and religion. Like, these are all ways for the few to control the masses. Democracy, you know, I always love Hunger Games. When President Snow, and I think it's one of the greatest lines ever of political film, that hope is just a little bit better at controlling people than fear. Now, that being said, there's a lot of people out there. Did somebody just take my picture? Is that what that is? I just saw a camera go up. Hope is a little bit easier to control people than fear. So that's why democracy has worked better than fascism. When you use hope, the only place I know of that I really believe that an aristocracy is working, that I've seen, is like Norway. Went to Norway, and the king and queen of Norway like give back to the people. Like, hope is alive and well. Like, you know, I don't know what happens there if you're opposed to the king and queen, but I don't know if anybody's opposed to the king and queen, because when they discovered oil there, everybody benefited. Like, that's a socialistic society that works. Because the king and queen, the leaders, take all this money from the oil they discovered and invest in healthcare and invest in the people, and they have a 25% flat tax on everything. If you go to the restaurant, 25% of that is going. And my friends in Norway, when I shot the TV show Lilyhammer over there, said basically, if you get sick, cancer, anything, get on a plane, go to Norway, wait a week, and like, I don't feel so good, can you check me out? And they're going to take care of you. Like, even a foreign person, like, they don't care who you are. If you need medical help, go to Norway. Now, because of this, there's going to be millions and millions of people. Oh no, we're okay. Nobody watches this. So, we don't let them die in the streets, right? And I still go back. I can't vote for Marco in 2020 if he runs, because of what he said to Trump. Like, the one thing I respected that Trump said in the last year and a half, we're not going to let people starve and die in the street. And Marco and Ted Cruz say, well, how are we going to pay for it? It's a good question to have. It's a good conversation to have. It should be the first thing we think about. I said, of course we're not going to let that person die in the street. Of course. If that's socialistic, then call me a socialist. If that's communism, call me a communist. I think it's just empathy for the fellow man. Do we have to label it? Do we just say, do we have to like have a debate? Like, that person's dying in the street, we have to figure out how to pay for it first? I mean, we need to have this ongoing conversation. We have, people that are homeless. We have people that are on drugs. We have people that are out there killing each other. We do have these social problems, and we have to figure it out. I personally believe we spend way too much money and time on so-called experts and committees. Said, let's do it. Let's put a committee together to study this problem. They're fucking hungry. Buy them a loaf of bread. The amount of money we put into that committee, the millions of dollars that go into committees to study the problem. Hey! It blows my mind. We can't just start throwing money everywhere. We don't have that kind of money. But we spend more money, it seems to me, on studying the problem than solving it. We spend more time debating the problem than solving it. And I think this is why I've always identified with GOP conservatism, not the nitwits and the scary shitheads, but the idea, the bureaucracy created. The bureaucracy, but the bureaucracy is created by both sides. On paper, I like what they say on the right about this issue, but both sides have way too many layers of bureaucracy. And then what ends up happening, when somebody has a real problem, all they get is the circle of bullshit. When they call the government, or the same thing when you call the phone company and you got a real problem and you got to call, whoever you got to call. Who are you going to call? The Ghostbusters aren't real. Who are you going to call? Because when you call customer service, you get a machine, or when you get a person, you get a really friendly young lady most of the time. Sometimes they're shitheads. Sometimes they can't speak English. They're in India. They're just, outsourcing that shit, right? Which is fine. Nothing against Indians. It's just you're not really helping me at all. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're Indian in Mumbai. It's any outsourced customer service is bullshit. Unused, just waste of time, and you're wasting your time on the phone. And don't get me started, because I'm actually this is one of those things I got really angry about, customer service. But it's the same in the government. What happens is the people at the top, whether it be government, business, the people that control whatnot, they create all these layers of bureaucracy so they don't have to deal with you or me. Right? I don't want to sound like some conspiracy theorist. This is not conspiracy theory. This is what happens. There are so many layers of bureaucracy to keep the real problems away from the power and the money. If we were to eliminate all those layers, now the problem is how many people are depending on jobs that are in those layers of bureaucracy. I don't have that number. I'm guessing there's at least 1 million people that could lose their job today that would make our lives easier for the people that don't have those jobs. Now, and I'm not saying let's go fire those 1 million people, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the system is set up at this point where we need so many people. What if we were to actually simplify the tax code? I'm not talking about giving the rich people a break. We had this much more simplified tax code, far less ways to beat the tax code, right? Far many ways to cheat the system, far fewer ways to cheat the system. How many accountants, how many people at just H&R Block would not have seasonal work? I mean, I count on December to dress up as Santa and make about 25% of my income for the year. All those people that work for H&R Block for a couple months in the spring, that's probably the same thing for them. If we don't need them because all of a sudden the taxes are so much easier. Now, maybe if the taxes are so much easier, I do believe that, we're going to put all these people out of work. If taxes are easier, we don't need as many tax lawyers. If the law, what would happen if everybody just started being nice to everybody? Everybody started being nice to everybody. What would the lawyers do? What would the lawyers do if we all just started being nice to each other and stopped treating each other like shit? Right? And stop suing each other for stupid little shit. Or stupid little shit stopped happening because we weren't selfish assholes as much as we are. Right? And then all of a sudden, we wouldn't need to spend a fortune on insurance because less people were doing stupid shit. And without insurance and lawyers feeding each other, driving up costs on everything, it's all that bureaucracy. Nobody wants to take responsibility, so we need to have these huge, massive, absolute massive budgets for insurance. And who's going to look over those contracts? We need those lawyers. And I don't want to put lawyers and insurance people out of business. I just want to put them to better use. We're constantly playing from behind. And again, we're left with a place where a lot of people who are angry. And I'm not even that angry in day-to-day life. When I really start to sit down to these video podcasts and I start to think about all this stuff, I said, oh shit, it's far from perfect, isn't it? I leave these things and I go out. After this, I'm going to sing at church. And I'm going to feel better because just singing high notes puts oxygen in the blood. And I don't need things, so I don't need as much money as a lot of people do just to kind of be happy. I don't need a lot of crap. I don't need the newest Samsung that's going to blow up in my face anyway. I surely don't need the newest iPhone. I don't need the newest gadget. I don't need the newest, fashion sense of clothes. How much money do we waste just because we want to keep up with the Joneses, right? Just because we want to stay with the times. I'm sorry, the golf shirt has been great for me, and I criticize David Duchovny for wearing a golf shirt to the office in Aquarius as a cop. But maybe the golf shirt's just been around that long, and I'm the one thinking, oh, I'm wearing a golf shirt now. There's no way it could have been in fashion in the 60s. Maybe I'm the one who's 60 years behind in my fashion sense. But do I care? No. I mean, more big of a deal about David Duchovny wearing it in the Aquarius at the office. Not outside the office. All you want, Hank Moody. No, I mean, you know what I'm talking about there. The other guy. So, yes, thank you. I'll leave DD alone. That's not what I'm saying. And people that insist that Mulder and Scully have to be together and go fucking nuts when they're not. People that insist that David and Jillian are together and go fucking nuts. I'm really getting off topic here. See, the problem is there are way too many crazy shitheads in the world. I'm not talking about Jalevny. I'm talking about something else. I'm all over the map right now. The point I'm really trying to get to, we need to stop getting batshit crazy over so many little things. We can't deal with the big things because we're so batshit crazy over stupid little shit. They do belong together, and they will end together. Perhaps in a very dire way. If we ever get them again, I don't know. I don't trust Jillian. But that's a whole other story. I should go nightly now talking about X-Files and the Duchovny projects. Just, my feeling about that. There is another David Duchovny album coming out fairly soon. That could be like next year. But I'm hearing from very high up sources that they are in rehearsal and recording as we speak. So, I'm just going on. But... I'm sure next year they're going to be all over the map. I can't afford to go anywhere else again. Fuck Chicago. I'm sorry. I can't do that again anytime soon. I love you, David, and I really enjoyed singing with you. I'll volunteer to be carry the... I'll be a roadie and whatnot. I'll be a roadie. I'll be security guard. Whatever you need. I can't afford to go to Chicago or Europe anytime sooner. He better stay near home. Yeah. And he does enough in New York that I really have no need to go all around the world for this stuff. So it's been fun. We had a great year since last May 12th. And all right, back to, hey, is that Kendall? Yay. So, hey guys, I'm going to get going. I got to go sing at church. I got some things to do. I'm going to watch the thing. I'm going to do a post-debate thing. The problem is there's really not a lot to do to report. This day-to-day, 24-hour news cycle, I've been watching a lot, trying to see if there's anything new to report. There really isn't. The big news, I think Marco Rubio really, like I said before, summing it up better than any other Republican leader about really taking Trump on and saying, no, if Trump loses, we're going to have a peaceful transfer of power like we always do. Because this is America. If you really respect America, that's what America is. That's what makes America different. It's not so much that we're great and that much better than anybody else, in anything else, but that really simple thing. We have elections and we have a peaceful transfer of power like no one else in this world. There's a lot of countries in Europe and elsewhere that aspire to be what we are in that sense, but nobody, and if you really want to consider yourself a good American, can we just stop? I don't know what we have to do other than beg, plead. All these people that their narrow view of America is so scary, sadly narrow-minded, and insisting that the entire world thinks how you think. I don't insist anyone think how I think, except I insist that everyone respect everyone else for having a difference of opinion. That's the one thing I want to say. I have zero tolerance for intolerance at this point. Zero tolerance for intolerance. You don't have to accept homosexuality, but you should tolerate it. You don't have to accept black people if racism is so burned into your soul by horrible parents or whatever, or bad pastors that really think that that's the way the world should be. But in America, you have to tolerate them. You may not believe what a Muslim believes, but in America, you need to tolerate them. I'm not going to say you have to like them. It's not for me to say. It's not for me to say you have to accept everything that they say or do. But if they don't directly threaten you, and being afraid that they might threaten you because of the color of skin should never be a defense in the court of law for your bullshit. Even if you're a cop who's just afraid because there's black people. And you're afraid because some black people carry guns and belong to gangs. It's not a majority. It's a small minority of black people, or Italians, or Irish, or, they're Irish that are criminals. In the Irish, there's still something of an Irish mafia out there. There's still an Italian mafia out there. There's still a Jewish mafia out there. Every single culture has its criminal element. White people just happen to be better at it because they run the country, and they do it Bernie Madoff style. I guess he was Jewish. That's a bad example for the Caucasian wasps, the racist wasps out there. Or they're just better at getting away with it with maybe like Hillary Clinton, right? Or Donald Trump. Like, they've gotten away with it much more successfully. The high-end white-collar crime. Martha Stewart. People that rip people off left and right. The guy from Wells Fargo. You're worried about some black guy or some Latino kid stealing your wallet? When Wells Fargo, like, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars? What, because they did it with a computer and behind closed doors, like it's white collar, and didn't threaten you physically? Like, that millions and millions and millions of dollars compared to the $50 that kid stole? The equity is off. It's wrong. And I'm sorry, there's no reason to fear somebody just because of the color of their skin and their creed and their race and their religion. I'm going back and forth. I'm repeating myself using different words. Synonyms. Really what I want to talk about is synonyms. I don't know where I'm going with that. All right, so I'm going to go. But, hey, guys, when you watch this debate tonight, watch it through the lens of what is best for America. Don't be a single issue voter. Think about who you want to be on the phone. And this is the old Hillary Clinton line. Who do you want to answer that phone at 3 a.m. when shit goes down? For me, it's a simple answer. That's Hillary right now. And nobody has demonstrated, perhaps ever. They keep saying, oh, she's the most qualified person ever to run for president. She might be, at least certainly in the last 100 years, more qualified than Kennedy, Nixon, Reagan, all these other people. She has experience, and again, she wasn't the governor, but she's been in like the Arkansas White House. She's been in the presidential White House. Like, she was like the left-hand, right-hand person, basically, as the first lady of a state for a long time, for president for a long time, in addition to being senator and secretary of state. Domestic, she started out in domestic child protection law. Like, she knows domestic policy, she knows foreign policy. Who else has ever been so well versed on both ends? We've had great people. Voltaire, yeah. I don't trust philosophers.
Syphilis.
Yeah. But maybe maybe Voltaire, Clinton's the modern Voltaire, maybe. And, who knows? Might have to pinch a few cankers. I never liked philosophers. And that's probably why I stayed away from the Democratic Party, too. I think there's just way too many philosophers that sit on their pedestal and judge and spew. They just shit coming out of their mouth, saying how things should be, and really with having a very little connection to what those things are. Never been a fan of the philosophy types. The philosophy, like quotes from certain philosophers, are interesting to quote at different times as a way, and again, as a way to keep ourselves thinking in a positive way, and realism, like balancing idealism with realism. Ideology. We need to stop ruling from places of ideology. We need to start getting back down to earth where real shit happens and dealing with the real problems. My real problem is I'm probably not going to get there on time to see the beginning of the debate. I'll be a few minutes behind. But I'll be back, guys, around 11 o'clock tonight. And really excited. This is going to be really a lot of fun. And what we should probably do is, as we live tweet, start predicting what SNL is going to do with this. That might be a fun way to play tonight. This is how we are. This is how SNL Saturday Night Live is going to lampoon this by yada yada yada. Periscope later tonight. I will be back. I'll be back on Periscope, and Periscope seems to have a better feed. Although Facebook, I get a lot more people watching at one time sometimes, but the feed is better to download and upload to my YouTube channel, and it's been interesting. So, hey guys, thanks a lot. We'll see you guys soon. Woo! It's not stopping. I hate when this happens. Yay.
Well, I guess you only had